Hi everyone. Today I'm going to give you the first technical lecture about foundations in foundations of computing, CISC 131. I hope you installed Python, and Python is available on your local machine, and Paizo as well, so that you may be able to get this Python and help those who are using a Mac OS. You may have similar things like this. If you type Python, then you will have 3.9.12, which is a little old ones. If you want to quit Python, this is Python prompt, and this runs inside Python. If you want to quit the Python, then you need to do quit. But if you want to make a Python, then remember Python is a functional programming language, which means everything needs to be in the form of a function. What is a function? A function is taking arguments and returning and computing with the arguments and returning the result. Therefore, it has a function name, open parenthesis and close parenthesis. So you need to have quit, open, and close parenthesis. In that way, the Python shell can terminate. If you do not use the parenthesis, then it'll give you an error like this, and then it guides you well what to do. So you need to put parenthesis, then you can get out of there. If you want to have the later version of Python, then you can do Python 3. Then see here the recent version, 3.12.5. Okay, this is a Python. Once we have a Python prompt and get some help from Python interpreter, then you need to start with the help. Help is also needs to be the function help, open and close parenthesis. Then you can get some help there. If you want to see, for example, modules that you may want to import, then it lists you the modules. So please, it takes time. So it gives you the list of modules already available with the Python interpreter. Among those, if you want to see more, then you can type some of this or some function that you can define, you can develop later. But initially, we can use the function that is built in, like a print. Then we can see the print statements. This is help. So print, and then print can take numerous different forms of arguments. So you can get the arguments, number of arguments, or you can get some separate. You can put like that, or you can put end. By default, it'll be a new line, or you can print on some file name or flush. Those things explained here. We're not going to do all details of this, but you can read when you have time. And this, within this help, so that we have a help prompt, you don't need to put functions. You simply type it. Okay, for example, str for string, then you can get some class of strings. If you want to quit, then you can say, if you press button Q, then it'll stop. Or otherwise, for example, enum, then this is a class. If you hit spacebar, then you can scroll page by page. At certain point, if you want to stop there, then press button Q, then it stops. Still, we are in help. If you want to exit from help, then you can do quit. In this case, you don't need to quit open and close parentheses because we are not in the language, not in the coding language, but help. So simply quit. Now we have Python, so that we have a triple greater than sign. This is a Python prompt. That's what this slide shows us. It gives us so many such things. You can play with that. So Python you can work on Python, the command line user interface or graphical user interface. So as a user, we want to almost all the times work on graphical user interface. As a developer, then command line. What is a command line user interface? This is a command line user interface. Everything that we do here, for example, where am I? Print work directory, pwd, then it shows me where I am within Mac OS file structure. And then in the command line, you can do some arithmetic operation and logical operations as well. So for example, if you do Python 3, then here 4 plus 3, then it gives you 7, right? 4 times 3, then 12. If you see 3 divided by 3, 4 divided by 3, then it gives you 1.333333. If you want to do 4 exponential 3 exponentiation, so 4 times 4 times 4 multiplication, 3 multiplications, then 64. All right, and then there is a percent sign. 4% 3, then it gives me 1. I wanted to see here 4 over 3, 4% 3. 4 over 3, then it gives you, it divides and gives you a fraction format of the result, right? Sometimes you may be interested in the remainder. What is a remainder? If I divide the 4 by 3, then it is 3. Similarly, if you want to do 3%, 7% 3, still it gives me 1, right? And then 10% 3 still gives me 1. Why? Because the quotient is 1 in this case, and remainder is 1. 7 divided by 3, then quotient is 2, remainder is 1. 10 divided by 3, quotient is 3, and remainder is 1. If we have percent operator here, then it gives us the remainder only. If we have a slash, then it gives me the fraction time, like a floating points of the result. If you want to see the quotient only, then you may need to do like this. 7 double slash and 3, then quotient is 2. 10 divided by 3, but I am interested in quotient only, then it gives me 3. So see here, slash gives us the real result of that division. Double slash gives us the quotient. Percent sign gives us the remainder. All right. So Python can respond user interactively within this Python interpreter. Variable. Now we need to work on variable and value. Variable, I want you to think of variable is nothing but labels. In other words, that is a placeholder. I want you to imagine the drawer. Then drawer has a label, right? This is a drawer, label name. This drawer contains something inside. For example, this drawer, when you open the drawer name, what's inside? That is the value John. Okay? The way that you emulate like this in programming, coding, then you need to say name equals John. What that means is that if you, the right-hand side if right hand side is a value itself, then it can be held in left hand side label. So left hand side is like a label or like a pointer. When I pull this label name, then value, because it is pointed by name, we can see the content of the label name. So when you assign, the right hand side needs to be materialized value. Okay, left hand side is a label. If you want to see, if you want to type, if you want to see the content, then you can simply say print name. That way, what is a name? Name is a label. It is not value itself, right? But when you say print with the arguments, then these arguments needs to be evaluated. Therefore, we may be able to print it. Evaluation this is nothing but open up the drawer. So get the content. Similar things that you can see here. Let's say name, we call John. So what is the name? Name is John. If you want to print a name in these statements, name has nothing to do with John yet, right? We do not know what the name this label contains. In order to see that, we need to see print name. Then we can see, there is a name, right? This is the real content. See, if you see name, if you type name, then it gives me this string. If you want to print, as you print this, it prints the content only. Therefore, there's no quotes, only what content is. So if you want to play with the data John, value John, then you need to have some label so that you need to hold the value. Okay? As far as we know this variable name, then we can get that value. That's what it is. You may have a multiple of those. Then you need to have 30 is a length, 20 is pointed by width, 600 is pointed by area, and things like that. So we will do some of the hands-on lab. A value can be here, left-hand side. This is a value, right? See this right-hand side. This is a value. So right-hand side, it can be a hard-coded value within quote, right? Or user entered the value, or one of the data collections, or some sensor data, or that value can be downloaded from URL. Much more, but we're not going to do in this level. We don't do. We simply look at hard-coded value or user entered value. So right-hand side should be the value. If it is not value but label, if it is not value but variable itself, then it is evaluated. And then get the value from that label and assigned to left-hand side. That's what it is. The left-hand side, which is a variable. Variable can be a literal, holding a single value, or holding a complex data. So without further, we will, what I'm asking you to do, we're working on Colab, okay? And on your Blackboard course material, then you can find out .ipynb, which is a Google Colab notebook. I wanted to bring that. I want to upload it. So in my case, I have here IPYNB 131, and I have this. Okay, 131 underscore lab 01 underscore input student dot IPYNB. So open it. Okay. So this notebook, two parts. value assigned to a variable, and then how to use that variables. So part 1 and part 2. Click part 1, then it goes to value assigned to a variable, and part 2, how to use variable, then it goes to how to use a variable. Okay. I want you to read that, and I want to point out what are the values in Python. In Python, you can get the value in the format of integer. Oops. Integer. If I double click here, this is a text box. It'll turn to edit mode. Remember that? I explained that. So I should not make double click. And floating point number, strings, or boolean, even true or false. What are the variables in Python? Variables are names you assigned to values in Python. They are essentially labels that reference data stored in the memory. This referencing allows you to manipulate. So if you want to have data and if you want to manipulate it, then you need to assign the data to a variable, which is label here. And then we play with that label. One of the example here, hard-coded value assigned to variable. Name John Yoon, fine, right? So if you execute it, then it is executed. If you want to let the, if you want to see the content, then if you type your name only, still you can get the value, which is John Yoon. But you can also make a print statements. Print name, hit enter. Then this is a string contained in the label name. Practice 1.1. I want you to create a variable, my name, which can hold your name. I'll let you do that. So if I were you, then do this. My name. Like this. Okay. That's fine. This is your name. And if you print my name and hit enter, then that is my name. Okay. So left-hand side is some value. Right-hand side, that is a variable. So far what we did is we assigned a string to a variable. Now we can do that, the number on the right-hand side, 7 and 5. So we can make this. And my question is, which number do you want to see? If you want to see number 1, then you can do print number 1, print, and also number 2, print number 2, and hit enter. Then you can get number 1 and number 2. Or you can do here number 1 equals number 1. Number 1 equals, this is a string, this print statements, 2 arguments, string, comma, and number 1. First arguments, that is value itself, but string. So we echo that value up to one more space like this. Followed by the second argument is number 1. Number 1 is a label. Number 1 is not the value itself, right? Then this interpreter, what this interpreter, Python interpreter can do is this guy evaluate it. The way it evaluates, it needs to trace back if number 1 holds any values. If number 1 holds any values and get that value. So there is a 7. So instead of write this labels, it put here 7. That is a label. So you can think of left-hand side, right-hand side, right-hand side, left-hand side. Right-hand side needs to be evaluated. Therefore, definitely it should have some value. Therefore, that value can be assigned to left-hand side. So we can make this. Number 2 equals number 1. Right now, number 1 equals 7. Number 2 is 5. Here, number 2 is number 1. So what is number 2 after this? Number 2 is a label, same label. At this point of the coding list here, it holds 5. But when it comes to this, number 2 has a new values because a new value is assigned to that label. What is a new value? This right-hand side is not value itself, but another label. If that label is evaluated, then it will be 7. So 7 is assigned to number 2. Therefore, if I want to this whole comment, and if I want to evaluate it, in other words, if I want to print number 2 and number 1 and print, then I have 7, 7, right? Number 2 is 7. Number 1 is 7 because it hasn't changed. Number 1 is 7. Number 2 is updated, revised, overridden by number 1. So number 2 is now 7. So if we do this, then 7, 7. Because I all this commented out, print only here. We have 2 statements. Now I want to make this prompt. Instead, all of this, I want to get them back. What it does is that this is the assigned. So number 1, 7, number 2 is 7. I want to do plus number 1 and number 2. Okay, number 3. Number 1 and number 1 times number 2. So number 3, therefore, we can think of that is 14 if we do plus, right? And then if we 7 times 7, then 49, right? Because the right-hand side needs to be evaluated. In this evaluation is nothing but the computation, arithmetic operations. Similarly here, number 1 plus number 4. Number 4 is 49. Therefore, it is added to number 1. Then it'll be, what, 756? Something like this, right? And number 5 divided by number 2. Number 5 is 56 divided by number 2. Number 2 is 7. So maybe 8, right? So let's see if it is doing like that. So number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and update. Number 4 is 14 here, 14. Number 4, second value 49. Number 5, 56, and we divide 56 divided by 7, so that is 8.0. If it is a division, then it is like a fraction, so floating points instead of return in integer, because by default that will be a floating points, so it gives us this floating point. But one thing, if we want to print this rather than the floating points, but integer format, then you can do, this is a float points. So if you use int function in it, remember that this itself is integer, right? So this is the floating points, but anyway, this is number. So if you take that number into the int function, then it returns the integer only. So instead of this 8.0, it'll be simply 8. So we'll have 8. So we looked at plus sign here, right? What does that mean? Plus sign means in arithmetic operation, that is an addition, right? We know that. But you can do plus sign here. So I want to make a new code. Let's say print name plus my name. Name plus my name, and hit enter. Then name is nothing but John Yoon. So it has a John Yoon up to here. And plus my name. My name is this. This is not like here, numerical computation. Not like here, 7 plus 4 equals 14. But it is simply the concatenations. Add two strings together, right? If it is the case, then if you want to have blank and then 2 plus a sign, so all string. This is a name that is a label, but that contains a string. And this is value itself, space. And my name, that is also string. So string plus a string plus a string, all the string, then concatenations. If we do this, then you can see John Yoon Mercy Computer, like that, right? If we want to say more, for example, at space, then more clearly, you can say John Yoon at Mercy Computer and Cyber with the math, right? So, plus sign. So, name is John Yoon, remember that. Greeting equals hello. If we have a concatenator plus, then hello John Yoon, fine. Plus sign, then if I comment, put the comment there, then it'll work. Number 3 is number 1 plus number 2. Number 1 is 7, number 2 is 7, I think that is a 14, right? But if you put here other, number 3 plus name. Number 3 is 14, and name is John Yoon. As I said, the plus sign will be if both sides, left-hand side, right-hand side of that plus sign, we call that operand. So operand, operator, operand. Operand is the first parameter here, number 3. Operand is, operator is plus sign. Another operand, that is a name. So we need to evaluate number 3, which is whatever the 14. And then name, John Yoon. 14 is a number. John Yoon is string. So if we execute that, then we have an error, right? Type error. It says unsupported operand types for plus operator cannot take the two operand, integer and string. Integer, number, and string name. So plus means nothing in this case, right? If we have both operands integer, then plus sign will be an addition, adder. If both operands are in string, then plus sign will be a concatenator. Therefore, we have an error. Okay. What if we have here, I want you to think, college is a label, value is Mercy. We have two number ones. The first number one, right-hand side, this is a value itself. The other number one is in, what is the difference between this one and that one? In mathematics, they may be the same, right? Anyway, they are talking about the value number 1. But in coding, most languages, if we put 1 with no quote, it means value number 1 itself. It means that is the number. if we have number with the quote, then that means that is a string. Okay, so college is a string, Mercy. So which one works, which one is not working? Which one gives us in the following? Which one raises an error? To do that, we need to test. Commit this, see how it works. Oh, there's a Mercy one, fine. Okay, now we need to comment to that, and we open the second print statements and hit, oh, there is an error. So we know this is an error. Second print statement is an error, and first statement is not, right? Why? Because digit here, this label holds the number, numerical value 1. Digit in string, this label holds number 1, but it is in string. So this is actually a string. Okay. How do you know? How do you verify it? We can verify it in codings. There is a function called the type. Let's see. By the way, I have cheat sheets here, right? If you see type, this is a function. This is one of the built-in function. If we click this, go there, then we may be able to see what is the type. This is value. This is another value. This is another value. I want to see the type of those. Then we can take that, the value as an argument in the function type. Then we can get the type of those. Similarly here, therefore, remember that I had digit, so value 1, digit in string, value 1 in the symbol string. So what is the type of those? So I want to print the type of digit and type of digit in string. Let me run it. Therefore, we can see, hey, first one is an integer. This is a string. This is a string. This is an integer. That's what it says here, right? Clearly. So far, those are all the hard-coded. What that means is that right-hand side in the code, I assign the value explicitly, right? On the other hand, we can put the user enter the value using input. Okay? For example, input, what is your name? And then if user type something in character, then it'll be assigned to name. Watch this. Run it, then it gives me whatever that. Okay? So Jeffrey Oscar, then what is your name? Jeffrey Oscar. So what is the name? Then there's Jeffrey Oscar. Right? You can create another code block and check. You can remove this code block. Do that. It'll go. If you want to remove this output of current output, then you can put here and clear output. So this input function returns a string. That string assigned to the label name. Okay. So for example, I want to make this comment and see how it works. Enter, then I can put 19. So what is the age? So age is 19. I have 19. Clearly you can see what is the age? 19. But what is the value of that? With the quote, right? So what is the type of age? I want to open this. Oops. I open only this. and hit enter. When I type 19, then what is the type of 19? Although I put integer 19, input function takes the value from where? Value from keyboard. Value from keyboard. When you type something on your keyboard electronically, either you type character, alphabets, no matter what character that you type, either the number or any that appears on the keyboard, they're all taken in string type. Okay? So for example, let's give a tip based on age. So we can type here, my tip for you is nothing but age times 10. Okay, I assume when user enter the age, then I assume that is an integer. Therefore, integer multiplied by 10. That is. I think it should work, right? By the way, before we do this, for example, this means this is a little tricky, right? Print star, that's a string, times 10, then it returns 10 times of star. If you put, for example, 50 times of star, then boom, there's a 50 times of star. Okay, so plus sign for string, that is a concatenator. Okay, star, multiplier, multiplication for string, that is the repetition. Therefore, if we want to put J 50 times, then gives us JJJ. If we want to make plus sign 50%, then 50, 50, 50. I mean the plus. That is star for a string is the repetition. Star n, I would say. So this is a star n. Star n is a string. String for n times. So if we do this, see what happens. Does it gives you an error, or does it gives you, for example, the idea here is that if 20 years old, then my tip will be 20 times 10, so I'll give you 200 for the tip, okay, which is great. That's too much. So time 80% of your age. So for example, if I am 100 years old, then tip will be $80. If you are 20 years old, then your tip will be $16. Depending upon the age, I can give you a tip. That is my idea in this case. See how it works. Okay. Look at your age. I want to get the age from user. We don't need to put here. And then my tip for you is that the result of that computation. I want to see if it is really the computation or repetitions. If I put here, for example, 21 years old, cannot multiply a sentence by non-digit number of floats. Oh, because of this. 0.8. There is no 0.8 times, right? So let's say simply 10 times. Do it again. So 21 years old. Then hopefully my tip will be $210, which is great. If your code is like that, then it'll give you 21, 21, 21, 21, 21, 21. What does that mean? It's a repetition. So 21, how many times over 21? 10 times over 21. That's not what we want, right? In order to fix that, then we need to put that age into the function int. Therefore, if I redo this here, okay, then I want to make this same thing. Age, same value. Age, this age, right hand side the age is string value. Put that string into integer function, then integer function will return integer. Therefore, that integer is assigned to age. So this is left hand side age is integer, right hand side age is string. And this left hand side age is computed here. And I want to see how old are you? So 25. Hit enter. So if you take age without converting from user's keyboard, then it'll be the repetition of. So this is really big money. If you convert that to the integer, so we have a new age, which is a type integer, then that is what we want, right? Age times 10. So my tip will be 120, 250. This is big money, 25. Anyway. Okay, so practice. Write an interest for the given principles. If a principal is $10,000 and rate is 7%, then interest will be 700. Okay, that's what. How can we compute to that? So we can make here. This is an input function that can take principles from user and convert that value returns. Although there is a number, but the format of that number is in string. Therefore, we want to convert it into integer. Similarly, if that is a rate, point some fraction, floating points, then we want to change it to convert it to points. So principal and rate both are number anyway. So what this is practice asks us to do is to print like this. The interest, so we can put here, print the interest. Okay. And then it asks us to show the evaluation procedures. How can I get 700? 700 can be obtained from the multiplication of those. Whatever the user enter, if user enter $10,000, then $10,000 appear, and then star, and whatever the value from user equals. So star equal that is given the other variable depending upon user value, and then that computation will appear here, and then finally we need to put $sign. This is a little complicated, right? if we do that here, for example, principal, and then we put multiplication and rate, and then we need to put equal sign, and then we need to put here dollar sign, and then principal times real computation, right? Rate. This is and we need to put here something later. So hit enter. If we put principal is 10,000 and rate is 0.03, for example, then it says interest, principal, multiplications, and then rate as we entered, and then final equals and dollar sign and 300. This is a computation result of those principal times rate. Looks good, but not exactly what we want. I want to put here no space before and after this multiplications. Actually, there is no space, but that space appears here. After that, no space, but equal sign, but we had unfortunately equal sign. After that space, this space is okay. And dollar sign and 700. Here a little bit the issue, right? And I want to put .00 because this is money. Then we need to put two decimal point, 2 places of decimal points, right? So we need to. I want to issue .00 rather than .0. That is a little advanced way. Okay, this is okay, but not really professional. So you can make here. What we need to do is, instead of doing all of those, I want to make, for example, like this. So this is very similar to that, right? But here, how many arguments? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 arguments. These print statements, how many arguments? We have only one argument. This is open quote, this is close quote, open and close. Inside everything, one string. But if we have here curly brace within that, then that is a placeholder. So the value of a principal can come in, and the value of a rate can come in, and this is a computation of that result can come in. So if we say $10,000, 0.06, then this is a little bit issue right here. So what we need to do, this can be rewrite here, and then I would say I want to put the format, and then principal, rate times rate, and then I want to delete that. So I have, this is a placeholder, curly brace. This is another placeholder. First placeholder times second placeholder. Actual value can be available in after this format, dot format function. This format is a function, therefore first parameter principal can come into the first placeholder. Second argument for the format can fit in the second placeholder there. And then this is the third one, the computation. The result of this computation can fit in the third placeholder. Okay? That's what it is. So if you do this once more, let's say $15,000 and the interest rate is 4%, then it'll be simply like this, right? This print statement gives you like this. And the third one here with the format function, by the way, format, do I have a format? Here, format, you can get the cheat sheets, go and get some learning about the formats. This is a format, string.formats. So get some idea from there. Real idea here is we have a placeholder, 3 placeholders, then format can feed 3 values to it so that we can get this. So that's very similar to this so far. My interest rates, that only the now issue is here. How can I get not only one decimal points, but I want to have 2 places. If it is 0 cents, rather than 0.0, I want to place 0.00, 0 cents, like this. How can I do that? In this placeholder, actually, this is nothing but, we can put here 1, 2, 3. This is a 1, this is a 2, and this is 3. That is still fine. But if this guy is in that order, then we don't need to put here number 1, number 2, number 3. But some points, if we want to mix, anyway, rate comes here first, the principal is the second, but principal needs to go to the first, then you need to put here, hey, the first one comes from the second one in that format, and the next one is the first one. If we want to make an explicit order, then you need to put here number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other than that, it goes in that order. So we don't do that. Same thing here, this is the third one. Third one, colon. After the colon followed by before colon, it's nothing but 3. So 1, 2, 3, the third arguments. Colon after that, we need to put the type of that. So I want to get the floating points with the 2 decimal place, decimal point, 2 places with decimal points. So 0.02 F for floating points. Then it gives us 2 decimal points. So 20,000 and 7%, it gives me here 1400 and then 0, 0. In other words, if you want to put here, hey, I want 3 places, like a gas price, right? Gas price has not only 2 cents, not only 99 cents, but it's 99.5, 3 places. It is also possible. Yeah. So maybe $30,000. I borrow $30,000. Current, the bank loan is say 8%. Then annually, how much do you need to pay for rent, the interest? Then you need to pay $2,400. .000, because we put 3 here. Okay. Logical evaluation. This right-hand side. Remember that in our assignments, equal sign, left side and right-hand side. Right-hand side, arithmetic operator, fine. That's what we looked at so far. What about logical? Logical means it gives us true or false. And true or false can be combined with the connector. Okay, logical connector. Say equal, the and or not. All right. So this is something that it runs, right? What is the result one? For example, print result one. I want to print all here. Okay, see what it is. What is the result of this? We simply, right hand side needs to be evaluated, right? Before we assign that value to the left hand side. Right hand side needs to be evaluated. If we see the right hand side, it is not just a computation like arithmetic operation. It is a logical evaluation. What it does here is that 5 greater than 3. Then it tells us true or false, right? Is 5 greater than 3? Yes, it is, right? So it gives us true. What about next one? We have an AND operator. Before we AND, we need to evaluate the first operand and then second operand. And then we put them together based upon this logical connector. Left hand side, 5 greater than 3. Yes, that is true. Right hand side, 10 greater than 5. Oh yeah, that is true. True and true means that is true. Right? If we change this like this, then the first operand true, second operand is false. Connect them by AND connector, then true and false means false, right? If we have AND, then both should be true, therefore it will be true. If we have AND, any operand is false, then together it will be false. Okay? So that is turned back. Or therefore that is true. Is this true or false? 5 is greater than 10. That's false. But we negate that. I want to flip. Then it'll be negated. So false will turn to true and vice versa. If we do that, then it'll be all true, right? If this is that and here, then the last one will be false, right? Because this is true. This is true, right? 5 is smaller than 10, but finally we negate it, therefore it is false. What does that mean? If we have, for example, result 4, evaluate result 4, then that is false. It returns false. That value is a false. This value itself gives us a false. All right. Part 2, how to use the variables. We already looked at that. We can use it, the concatenator, or we can do arithmetic operator, right? So if we dividend 10, divisor 3, division operation here. So it returns 3.333335. To show these procedures, as we showed the procedures somewhere up here, right? Procedures similar to we show all the steps. Then we have a placeholder here. This placeholder divided by, therefore this is a dividend, divided by divisor is the result of that division. So first one is the dividend, second one is the divisor, and the last one is the computation result of that. Same thing, if we want to show that to decimal points 1, then rather than 2, you will have 3.3. Practice. Multiplication star, floating points, float division. Yeah, we looked at it. Float division is the double slash. Modulus gives us the remainder, percent sign. Exponentiation, double star. Okay, so that is possible. So what I want to do is practice using this dividend and divisor. Can you make multiplications, float division, and modulus and exponentiation? You can do like this, right? So that dividend is 10, divisor is 3, so 3 times 10, that is 30. Dividend 10 slash slash 3, then it returns the quotient, which is 3. Percent sign, that returns remainder, which is 1. Star star, exponentiation. So 10 can be multiplied 3 times. So it is 1000. So far what we have done the values and variables and assignments. So left-hand side and right-hand side, and computations, arithmetic and logical computations, right? So this is a rule for variables. Rules: name must start with the letter or underscore, not a number. Variable names like this. Names can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores. Names can case sensitive. So if we put age and these two variables are not the same, because case is all lowercase. The first uppercase, so they are not the same. Avoid using Python's built-in function. There are lots of built-in functions: print, list, stl, and so on and so forth. Why use variables? Variables are fundamental because they enhance readability and they facilitate code maintenance. They allow dynamic programming. I wanted to read all details. After this, you will have a homework assignments. So in the Colab, I want to download it from your Blackboard and now upload the homework assignments. That is your homework assignments. Oops. This is not a homework. Give me a second. Did I lose homework assignments? Let's see. There's yesterday's. Okay. Homework will be, I have homework here. Give me a sec. Let me quick. Three. And I want to download this. Okay, I want to upload the homework. Okay, here. This is homework number 2. Homework helps you practice handling values and variables. To do, this is a to-do list. Write all the code segments. You have 3 code, code 1, code 2, and code 3. 3 coding list. Download all the code in .py files and clean all unnecessary code and submit plain text Python code only. Please do not use any advanced operations or statements. Although you know, I want you to do how you can do in the statements. That is the level that we are working on. Okay, I do not want you to get any advanced help from anyone while you are not get familiar with. If you have something real advanced coding listed, you don't get the credits. I want you to get the current level of the statements. If you know current and the advanced together, then you definitely know how you can do the level of this level of the coding list. All right. Therefore, don't include any advanced operations. Do not import any additional modules. You can import modules only when I ask you to do. Usually we don't import any advanced modules. Problem number 1, this is similar to dividend and divisor. I want you to do write a code quotient and division without double slash. Without using this, how can you get the quotient from division? Problem 2. Like the grading scheme described in our syllabus. So we have assignment, participation, midterm, and final. Assume all grade is 100 points, and you can enter the points for assignments, points for participation, midterm, and final. And finally, scale the grade. So 50% of assignment, 5% participation, and 20% midterm, and 25% of final. All together, that'll be 100%. So I want to I want to show the procedures of the computations. If you user enter 85, then 85, and then 5%, 0.5, plus 75. 75 comes from user, and this weight is already defined. And 79, that is a midterm, and 20%, we already know. 88 comes from user, and 25%. We compute all, so the scaled grade is 84.05. I want to complete your code here, okay? And then problem 3, alcohol. Anyone under the age of 21 is ineligible to purchase alcohol. That is a New York law, right? So you prompt here, say, can I buy alcohol? This is alcohol. Alcohol. Can I buy, this is a prompt. Can I buy alcohol? Then enter your age. So if I put 18, then gives us true or false. One more statement here. Okay? Should not be hard coded, but here use logical evaluation. You can simply display the result of a logical evaluation. When you have done this, then you can download this in that file. So you will have here, this is your code, right? So on your Paizo, if we bring this there, then you will have this, right? So basically what you need to do is this blue color needs to be all deleted. And then you can submit this file. So you can save this and then you can submit it. All right, this is it. Good luck.